Hi, it's Jane. Oh boy, what a day. I already feel like I've gone through a week. It's only been a day. Thought I would show you some of the goodies that I received at the senior fair. And I enjoy going to these. I told you about it yesterday. Of course, one of the businesses, it is a rehab and skilled facility. They also have our memory care for Alzheimer's patients there when they get to the point they can't be taken care of. The dental clinic was handing out toothbrushes, toothpaste. This is what I went for. You know these lovely little grippers? Got a whole bunch of pads. Little notepads. Always find a use for notepads. Some of the different places. The STEP agency, which is our Office of Aging, has these that you can put immunization cards in, those kind of things, or your IDs. And then one of my favorite things always to pick up are the clips. This one is magnetized on the back, so it'll stick to the refrigerator. I don't think this one is, but it was from AmeriCorps, and they have a lot of opportunities for seniors to also volunteer, and it's just a nice chip clip. Now, walking through, when I got into the Lock Haven place, well, before that there was another place for dealing with stress and meditation, exercise. Had a squeeze ball that is shaped like a brain. And this comes from the Alzheimer's Association. So that was a little nice thing. Pens. This is a nice pen from Independent Home Health. Never heard of them. It's got the little stylus you can use with your phone or your iPad computer. A couple of other pens. This one has a little pad for the stylus too. Haven't quite figured out how to work it yet. Maybe it turns. I got nothing, folks. I really have nothing. I have no idea how it works. And then a couple of other pens. That's what my friend and I were joking about. You know, coming to get pens. They also had the lanyard. I don't know what I'd use that for. The rehab also had small cups. She gave me two because it was the end of the day and she wanted to get out there. So she gave me the last two. These will go in the Operation Christmas Child boxes because I don't have any use for them. But those were some of the things that I picked up, as well as a fly swatter. That again came from a senior living facility, convalescent place, community. Might been using that to catch the cats. It does twist here. Really bizarre pen. Look at that. Isn't that bizarre? Strange. Anyway, but while you're there, when you walked in the door, they had, I want to say they had about 15 gift baskets. They initially wanted the folks to give a gift basket, the vendors, and I want a gift basket. So I thought we'd go through the gift basket because it's open. And it's kind of interesting. This was a gift basket. Let me see if I can get the tag off. Because I need to send them a note. Thank you note. This came from MU Care. It is a home health agency. Never heard of them. But there's their card. So, looks like it's in an area near me, Woolrich. That's just kind of around the corner. They called this the movie pack. And this is a water bottle. And it is glass. It's a nice water bottle. So, I'll probably use that. Might take my drinks bedtime in that. But anyway, movie box has Butter Lovers popcorn, 6 packs. Has some beef jerky, which I love beef jerky. Has some Good and Plenty's. I'll be honest, I've never had Good and Plenty's. It's licorice candy. I don't like licorice. So I'll probably wind up giving that to the teens. Not teens, the college students for their whatever. Milk chocolate covered raisins. Swedish fish. Never had Swedish fish either. Reese's Pieces. Milk chocolate M&Ms. Peanut butter M&Ms. And then they had 2 shaker popcorn seasoning. One is the sweet and salty kettle corn. And the other one is white cheddar. So that was a nice part of that. But there's also something else in here. So let me get that out. You see that? It's a high definition sound bar. It is a wireless sound bar with a remote control included. The one that I have is not wireless, that's on the TV. I do have another TV that I used to use in the sewing room, and that is not wireless. It's a small speaker. But I was pretty impressed with this. Like I said, it's pretty heavy. It's 24 inches, 20 watt power, has a digital clock on it. We're talking fancy smancy. So that was one of those things that you just kind of go, what? Really? And they had this beautiful drink dispenser, and it had stuff for lemonade, that kind of thing inside of it. Crystal clear, gorgeous. I'd put my ticket in for that because I was kind of hoping for that so that I could donate it for one of the auctions that the church normally has to raise funds for missionaries, but I don't know if they're doing that this year. But didn't win that one. My friend that goes to the same Bible study that I do, she won that one. So we had a giggle about that. Let me get my knitting because I thought I would sit and knit while we're Well, I have you here. When I got home today from my Bible study, I decided I needed to go look for the attachment that goes to the screwdriver for the adding machine. And I realized I did not know where all of the extra tools were. So I realized they were in the garage. And they were in the tote that has the Centros in it. So I went down a rabbit hole looking for that. Finally did find the Centros and found the thing that I was looking for that has my adapters on there. So also I had some extra clamps and some extra needles for the Addy, and so it was a good find, right? That's what I'm saying. It's a good find regardless. But it was a lot of work out there, and Izzy came out into the garage. She is adventurous, so if I leave the door open, she will come out into the garage to kind of sniff around, check things out. Ronan just comes to the garage door, looks in, does this, and then runs. But she comes in. So she came sauntering in, and she was all over the garage sniffing and checking things out. Found a couple things that I thought I had given away, which are basically some sweatpants and a couple of sweatshirts that I had thought about turning into cardigans, and for some reason set those aside. Thought I had already given them away. I didn't, so I'm glad that I didn't give them away, so I can now use them to do what I was planning on doing. Isn't it funny how we think we've done something, then we realize we didn't do what we thought we had done? Crazy. At my Bible study, we always take turns bringing different items for lunch. Generally, someone will bring the main dish, someone else will bring like a side, and then someone else brings dessert. Today, the woman brought hot dogs in sauerkraut, but with a bit of a twist. The hot dogs were cooked in sauerkraut. She added a little bit of brown sugar and a little bit of barbecue sauce. I know, sounds odd. And then you just let that cook together. Basically, you're just heating up the hot dogs. You let that cook for a little while. You can serve it on buns or just serve it with hot dogs and the sauerkraut. But it didn't smell like, when you walk in, there's sauerkraut being served. You can smell it. You didn't smell that this time. So that was good. Very nice, very pleasant. And what was the other thing? Oh, somebody brought chips. And what I thought was funny is someone made a comment about she didn't like certain chips that a lot of people around here. There's a chip by Middlesworth and it's a company that started here in Pennsylvania that makes these barbecue chips and chips in general, and they're fairly good, but it's a little bit of a different taste. The plain potato chips are a cross between what you would consider Lay's and like a kettle potato chip. It's hard to explain how it is. But then they make a barbecue chip, and barbecue chips, those have different degrees of spiciness on them. So sometimes you might get one that's too spicy. And they have numbers, and the numbers correlate to the spice level on the bag. But someone made a comment about they're glad that they weren't those Middlesworth chips because they didn't care for them. These were just Lay's potato chips. Which, it's fine. Doesn't have to be a gourmet meal every time. But, and then one of the gals always does when she takes dessert, she's known well for her chocolate covered pretzels. So of course she made a big batch of chocolate covered pretzels. But she also likes to take the little individual graham cracker crust pies, and she will fill them with vanilla pudding and chocolate pudding, and then bring whipped cream so you can add whipped cream to it. And that's a nice tasty treat. So the other thing, but she makes a cake that I absolutely love. It's one of my favorites. It's a peach cake. And you basically take a can of regular peaches, drain off most of the fluid, and you take peach pie filling, mix it in with a white or yellow cake. That's all you do. Bake it. It's delicious. But she made the pudding instead this time, which is fine. But it's nice. It's a great, nice time to sit and talk, catch up with people, see what's going on, see what's happening in their church, and that kind of thing. We were discussing doing a craft in October. When we plan out Bible studies, many times there is a craft that is done in between some Bible studies because it might be an odd time of year, because of whatever. Like I think we ended like close to the last week in October, so we're, instead of, because there are only 2 weeks in November, well, technically there are 4, but 2 weeks in November that we do anything really as far as a Bible study, because Thanksgiving always falls on Thursday, and that's the day of our Bible study. And this year, Christmas falls on Thursday. So again, and as well as that, New Year's Day does. So we're having to decide if we're going to meet New Year's Day or not for our Bible study, or just let it go. So every once in a while we like to just do a craft day, so that's the plan, to do a craft day. Be a little bit of fun, a little bit of craziness. But, yeah. I was trying to catch up on a few things going on news-wise. I think the biggest thing I told you yesterday was that they had determined that Jake had supposedly confessed to a cellmate that he had killed the baby, thrown the baby in the trash, garbage at home, but there's no verification of that. The only other thing I saw today was one of you lovely people sent me a video, and it was of Jake and Rebecca in court without legal representation, basically talking about there wasn't a private lawyer, I think, and which is odd because the lawyer that had defended Jake in his first trial against his 10-week-old daughter, was representing him at first, so maybe he stepped out because of everything that was going on. Who knows? But apparently they were talking about how they can't represent both of them, so he would have to represent one of them, this public defender, and then they'd have to assign someone to the other. I thought that was kind of odd. But she is sticking to her story. And kind of makes you wonder what Jake is up to. And I feel like him taking them out to the side of that highway was just a ruse. He's just leading them on. Just playing with them. Casey Anthony all over again. I don't know. But that's the latest that I've heard about that. I don't think I watched anything else that kind of talked about things other than, the whole thing with the shooter. And I'm sorry, it is not a gun control issue. It is clearly a mental health issue. I think over the past 7, 8 years, there have been 7 shootings where the shooters identified as trans or non-gender binary. So apparently there is an issue with some of the medications and mental health issues. And we probably need to look more into that mental health. The only other thing I saw was California now in the school systems, which I'm sorry, I wouldn't sign the damn thing. Yeah, excuse my cousin. But the girls, I don't know if the boys have to do it too or whatever, but there is a slip you have to sign if you do not want to be in the same bathroom as a male or locker room, declaring that you have a mental health issue. Excuse me? So what's next, California? You're going to say women that are pregnant and joyfully give birth to children have mental health issues? I don't know, but I do know this. I wouldn't sign it. But apparently you can't go to school if you don't sign it. So that looks like that's probably going to be a lawsuit waiting to happen. I would think that you would make the person that wants to be in the bathroom of the opposite sex sign that. So, and I'm sorry, we have, like I said yesterday, if your child at 7 years old says, I'm a dog, you're not gonna give in to that. And if there is a child that says they're not the sex that they were born in, that needs to be explored with a psychiatrist and a psychologist. Not somebody that's just going to go along with them, but somebody that's going to work at those issues to find out exactly why they believe that. There are generally root causes. So, I don't know. Just kind of scares me. But I will tell you, while I was out in the garage, I did go into one of the bins, had fabric, and pulled some fabric out to make some new bags, new items. I first want to try making myself a colored pencil holder, mainly because I found I use colored pencils in my Bible when I'm marking them instead of the highlighters, because highlighters bleed really bad. And I found that when I use the colored pencils, they do not bleed less badly. They do show through to the other side, but they don't bleed. And I haven't found a highlighter that doesn't bleed or show through. Although supposedly on the TikTok shop there are some. I don't know if that's true or not. Would be interesting to look at and see. But I basically just wanted to make a padded case for the pencils to go in with a small pocket to hold the pencil sharpener in. So I'm kind of figuring out how that would work. Be a little bit bigger than a package of the 12 markers that you can get, not 12 markers, 12 colored pencils that you can get, like at Walmart and Target. Because you've got to have a little bit of room for the pockets, to make the pockets for the items to slip down into. And it would most definitely need a kind of flap that would come down, so it would help keep those from sliding out if you had turned it upside down. So I'm trying to figure something out for that. Determine how big I want it. Do I want to put 3 colors in one little pocket and that kind of thing? Or what? But that's the latest that I've heard about stuff that's going on, besides the whole CDC being investigated for some of the things that they've done, which they probably should be. I think they've made millions off the backs of people using us as guinea pigs, experimentals, For years, this whole COVID vaccine was a experiment, if you ask me. If you have a shot that's supposedly supposed to take care of that issue and that problem, when it's really considered viral, but you keep having to have boosters, it's not truly a vaccine, Of course, I think I saw something about New York. Got some kind of infection that's going on. They have no idea what it is. First they thought it was Legionnaires. Now they have no clue. They can't identify it. There's a part of me that goes, what kind of new virus is there out there? And let's keep it to New York. Don't let it spread all over the place. But it's gonna. It's gonna. All right, I need to pause you. Well, and just as I said that, it went dead. Oh my. Crazy, crazy. So yeah, that's the only other thing that I've seen. Last night I had the TV on for a little bit. Trying to figure out how to add app to the screen there. And was listening. I want to say the TV channel I had it on was ABC, something like that. And they were talking about the shooting in Minneapolis. Well, in Minnesota. I don't remember if it was exactly in Minneapolis or a suburb of Minneapolis. But they weren't telling the full truth of what was going on. I mean, they left a lot of things out of it. They weren't telling you some of the crazy things that this guy had in the manifesto that he had. Just all kinds of things like that. The newscaster made a mention of that on the gun was Donald Trump's name. Yeah, well, it was to unalive him. He had also written across it for the children and all these other kind of bizarre things on his YouTube channel, or maybe it was Facebook. He would do things like read the Amana refrigerator manual. I mean, just bizarre. So apparently there were some clear signs that he had some mental issues that should have been addressed. But yeah, like I said, the last 7 or 8 shootings have been done by someone who was trans or gender binary neutral. So we probably do need to look more at mental health. And then I heard someone say today, well, if they ban guns, get rid of guns, how are we going to protect ourselves against these guys? He could have gone and gotten a sword or a knife and killed, a bunch. And they aren't talking about how he had the doors barricaded. He had barricaded the doors so the kids could not escape. It's just bizarre. And the media doesn't understand why people don't trust them. That's why you don't tell us the truth. We can see the truth because it's out there. I mean, goodness gracious. But, it's the narrative. They don't want to tell the truth. They don't understand why their ratings are going down. Why people are turning away from them. This whole nonsense of them being able to basically lie to you instead of just giving you the news, straight facts. Used to be, they did that without opinion, or they would tell you it was an opinion piece. Now they just put it out there like it's news. So, frustrating. But it's kind of crazy things we're seeing going on around the world today. This whole thing with Ukraine and Russia, and Ukraine sending in drones to strike their oil facility Russia's oil facility. Of course, then Russia will have to retaliate somehow, and these, quite frankly, are two leaders who are not serious about peace until they do one another in. Yeah. Of course, this whole thing that you can't have elections while there's a war going on is nonsense. Just like Ukraine President Zelensky saying you can't give up any portion of Ukraine because it's in the Constitution. I call BS on that too. The whole thing in Crimea started under Obama, but a lot of people weren't paying attention then. When Russia had invaded Crimea, and a lot of that was Crimea was asking to be annexed from them. So, annexed not from Russia, but from Ukraine area. Now, I think Donbass was a little bit different. I think Russia had actually overtaken it, so. But I don't see any end in sight for that. I think they're going to be like the Arab world against the Jewish nation, Israel. I think it's now going to be a forever war. Hope I'm wrong, but I don't see a lot of hope there. And I will tell you, as far as knitting and crochet, found more projects while I was out there. These are projects that were started. So, gotta get my rear end in gear. Get some of those done. Oh my. Gotta get my rear end moving and get rid of some of this yarn that's sitting around here. Get it moving. I haven't got through a first tote. So, and that's the whole goal, was to go through my totes, get them done and get them taken care of. I hope you guys got to see the Boggy Creek blanket opening. I always like watching it. Generally, I watch it later. I don't always catch it that evening. And now that Awana's getting ready to start, I know I won't be catching it at all. But, other than afterwards, and that's a nice wind down for me. Awana gets me a little worked up sometimes. So, there's that. Yeah, I found a couple of knitting projects while I was out there in the garage searching for the things that went with the Centro and the Centro. And what's funny is I have a tote that is labeled Centros. There's no Centros in it. It's actually in the Looms tote. So I had to take a marker out there and, make a correction. But, stuff happens. And that just seems like that's the way it's going to run. So, I do have on the sewing room, I do have a quilt needs to be fixed. I have some more pants that need to be adjusted. And, I And then a couple of sewing projects that I have otherwise I need to get done. I do need to get some more interfacing. Some of those I am going to use some of the batting because I found a big bag full of batting. And I do mean bag. It's like, looks like a I don't know how to describe it. It's basically a round, I think it was originally a laundry basket, kind of like a 35-gallon barrel, but it is full of batting. And so I need to use that up. So I'll probably make a couple more batting items with the batting. May make a couple of saddlebags, I don't know. Just trying to decide what to make with them to get some of that moving. But what are your plans for this weekend? It's Memorial Day weekend and not Memorial, Labor Day weekend. Boy, I'm a couple of months ahead, aren't I? Here they have what's called the River Fest, or no, not River Fest, Regatta. So there'll be races out there, and I think they are also including jet ski races this year, if I remember correctly. But they generally have like a carnival over across the river, and bands come and play a stage, set up so bands come and play. They have a small park called the Canal Park that generally has crafts in it. They have vendors there. So I might drop down and take a little bit of a stroll, see what they have to offer. The thrift store that I was telling you about is having a soft opening. So that should be interesting. Should be fun. So I was planning on stopping in for that. I'm sure everybody in town will be too, so. And I don't remember if this is the weekend they block off Main Street or not. Generally do it every 2 weeks. I think this is the weekend they block it off, which is always a thrill a minute, because then it makes it hard to find a place to park. This town, they want to have downtown businesses, but their parking leaves a lot to be desired, because they have none. So anyway, I think I have about yammered on enough, so I'm going to let you go, and I'll talk with you again probably sometime this weekend. I don't know. I may just do a little bit of relaxing. Do you know I need to do some weed eating? Joy of my life. But other than that, everybody have a great weekend. And if you can, do something kind for somebody. See you again soon. Bye.